effectiveness, which is why you want to defend it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. There is that, but there is also a pure defense as to what I really do feel transpired. Right. Okay, so there is the defensiveness on a character level, and then there's the defensiveness on what I truly believe transpired. Okay.
I can understand that. I can understand like a pure defensiveness as like 10%. But like, no, but seriously, because, you know, like, I've said this to Adam and Liz. I think I might have told you that one time that we got in a huge blowout argument and I had you leave the apartment and I called your dad in the exact same state that I am right now and I told him that we got in a huge fight and I'd asked you to leave. He asked me, his first question was, did he hit you? He asked me if you hit me.
Yeah, I think like whatever, I mean...
I know, but it's like, it's not, I'm not... This is not in my...
When you called somebody, you know, saying like in tears in the way that you did, I mean, I can understand that sort of reaction.
I don't know.
Wait, have you hit any ex?
No.
Okay.
No, I do not know.
Well, let me ask you, did your father?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's just okay.
No.
And I'm not, and I was not suggesting that he did. Like...
No.
And...
No, I get that.
But it's like... I am not making up the fear and like the scaredness in my head, and I'm not blowing it out of proportion. And it's like the hardest thing to like try to explain because it's only based upon my feelings, and Adam feels like I don't have a right to feel the way I do. So it's like literally, how do I defend that? Like I can't, because it's all subjective, and if he doesn't think that I am right in taking things a certain way or going about things in a certain way, then like he just just robs me of that. Despite the fact that like I am probably like the most like understanding person in his entire life, and like he just totally forgets about the fact that like all of these things that I'm trying to do for him in terms of like being supportive and being understanding and working with him and like honoring confidentialities and like supporting what he's going through, despite the fact that taking a different path would probably mean like a faster healing process for me. Like all of that goes out the window when when he's angry about something just because he is.
Okay.
And there's just no respect there. There's just like no goodwill, and it's unfair. Like I just don't deserve it on the whole. If the anger issue and the addiction are separate, or if they're together, it doesn't matter. I thought with like the therapy and like all the work that he's been doing, some of his anger issues would be alleviated, and he'd be more appreciative of me as a spouse, and he'd work harder to recognize in the moment when I say that you're scaring me, or like I don't like, or you're being loud or whatever. You know, he just can't acknowledge it. He can't in the moment like acknowledge how out of control the situation's getting, and then I go days with being upset. Like, and it's...
So it's not just that he can't acknowledge it in the moment. You're saying he can't acknowledge it even later.
I mean, we're like talking about the one thing about Melanie, but like let's talk about like the other fights that we've gotten in the past week over like...
Can I just say, actually, you probably shouldn't do that right now. Believe me, I've worked with a lot of couples. If you start to bring in everything, you can't solve anything.
I'll take your advice.
Okay.
But
Okay, because if it's the same dynamic, then it's better to just stay with the one.
It's just...
So I want to ask you, from your point of view, now, here's what I want to say about anger. It takes time to work through that so that the reaction is not what it is. It's like any reaction. If somebody has a tendency to submit, and that's what they do, it takes time before they can stand up for themselves. This is the same. Of course, you and I have to talk about whether you're willing to stick around during this. want to.
I mean,
And whatever you decide is okay. But in the meantime, with Adam, what could he do differently, realistically, that would help you feel safer and help you feel more like the two of you are working together on this? Like, I want you to think about that for a minute.
I mean, this is not like an easy to do. I just want Adam to realize that, like, I am not working against him. Literally, like, I
No, you're not.
realized, like, a long time ago, Adam, that I cannot stay in this marriage and simultaneously work against you. Try to change you, try to, like, point out your shortcomings, like. So whenever you think that I'm just trying to have the upper hand in the situation or not admit any wrongdoing on my part, like, I am not trying to be anything but supportive of you. And that includes keeping your emotions in check. You know, even like for the sake of Melanie, you know, like.
So hang on. And I want to ask you, do you feel like Stephanie has been primarily supportive through this process?
I just don't know if supportive is the right way. You know, saying like is the right word. To an extent, yes. You know, saying of course she's been supportive because she hasn't divorced me and separated from me, right? So I mean, I have to acknowledge that.
Well, what other things do you think she's done that you would consider supportive? So
what are the things that she has? I mean, not leave me, first and foremost.
So she stayed.
Yes, you know, she stayed. You know, she's, you know, not, I would say, you know, based on what I've learned as far as like what other spouses can do as far as like shaming you on like a almost nearly daily basis. Okay, so I certainly recognize that.
Yeah. Right, so she's not being critical of you every day, reminding you.
I mean, have I ever shamed you at all? Have I ever shamed you at all? Ever?
No, I can't say
never.
Well,
Never.
So she's been that way.
Mm-hmm.
And she did go into therapy to try to work through this stuff so that you could restore the relationship.
Yeah.
So those are all things that she supports your recovery.
Yeah, but I've never, There's never been a question about it. It's
good to sometimes say these things out loud.
You answered the question that you didn't know if supportive was the right word. That's that's just what happened 120 seconds ago. You said, I don't know if I'd call her supportive.
I said I don't know if supportive was the right word. Yes.
Among others, it's the right word.
You know, but I could say like an example of shame is like, you know, what you said walking away in the hall when you took Melanie, when I gave Melanie to you the other day, as far as like, you know, me not caring about this family.
Adam, that had nothing to do with your addiction. That had everything to do with the fact that...
But that's okay.
That had everything to do with your reaction and your complete disregard for the fact that it was in the middle of the night for her. She was woken up, she was wet, and you were holding her and you would not give her to me. Like, that was what that was about, okay? I've never made you feel like a piece of shit, like, over your addiction. And all I've asked for you in return is to just, like, be, like, appreciative and empathetic and, like, have, like, goodwill towards me. And I do not feel that from you at all. And
here's what I'm going to ask you, Adam. You love Stephanie?
Yes, I love her very much.
Do you like me? Like, honestly, like, do you actually like me as a person? Because, like, sometimes I can't even tell.
Hang on a second.
No, but it's true.
No, hang on a second. So